Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review. And to continue my review of the Indiana Jones movies, we'll be discussing the 1984 uh, sequel, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Now, actually, this movie is actually, even though it is, a sequel, the movie takes place like a year before the events in Vegas of the Lost Ark. And of course, it is also the first movie they actually used the words Indiana Jones. Contrary to the video that I did for Raiders of the Lost Ark, now it's been retitled Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark because I have the name Indiana Jones over the title of the actual movie. So this one is the first one that actually supposed to have had the name Indiana Jones, not Raiders of the Lost Ark, but this one. And this one also stole, like I said already, this movie takes place a year before the events of Raiders. So technically, it was a prequel, even though it wasn't hyped as a prequel. But the movie starts Harrison Ford again as as the archaeologist Indiana Jones, and of course this adds also of course two new characters to the mix. Kate Capshaw played Willie Scott and Ki Hai Quinn, of course, is more famous for being in the movie The Goonies, which was a year after this movie came out, and as a short round. But this movie is also kind of controversial, which I'm eventually going to get into. The plot of this movie is that this Indiana Jones adventure is supposed to take place. It takes place in India, and taking on the Thuggee cult. And this movie, of course, also has black magic and everything else. But this movie does start off with a kind of annoying uh, song and dance number to the song "Anything Goes," even though that it has the armchair directors critics call it a different mentioned different song, but the actual song was if you ever seen the armchair directors reviews of the Indiana Jones movies, they mentioned a different song, but the actual song that was used was "Anything Goes," and it has Kate Capshaw actually singing the song in Mandarin Chinese, which of course the movie does take place in Shanghai, China. And with Indiana Jones making this deal with like this criminal who wanted to have who hired Indy to get this uh, figure for him, the statue for him, and of course they had to have the shootout in his club. Now, of course, the funny thing is that of course the original Star Wars trilogy ended the year before. So in this movie, you do have a Star Wars reference in this Indiana Jones film. Because the club in the beginning, in the opening sequence, yeah, the opening teaser sequence was called Club Obi-Wan. Of course, in reference to, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Star Wars movies. So you have that kind of reference in this movie. So after, of course, that event, they got on the plane, and of course, yes, that is Dan Aykroyd making a very short cameo in this film. Uh, when you get on a plane, or a cargo plane that's owned by the guy who was chasing Indiana Jones in the beginning of the film, instead of killing them off in the plane or shooting them in the plane, what the two pilots do is they just dump the fuel and escape the plane by use the two parachutes and escape the plane. And of course, Indy, Willie Scott, and Short Round escape the plane uh, by a raft, and they end up conveniently going to this rapids, and they end up getting from these rapids getting into India, and they have this poor village, this holy man in this village, telling them, hey, all of our children have been kidnapped, and the lucky stone, or Shakawa stone, from the village has been taken by the thuggies. Can you help us? And Indiana Jones reluctantly decides to help this village out. So they go to the Bangkok Palace, and of course they find out that yes, the thuggies are actually hiding out underneath palace into what's known as the Temple of Doom, even though the words Temple of Doom was not used in this movie. The Thuggies never called this temple the Temple of Doom. For some reason, they never mentioned it in this movie. Of course, you have like hundreds and maybe even thousands of children working as slaves to the Thuggy cult, and they, of course, what happens, of course, they all get end up getting Indy, Willie Scott, and Shawn all get captured by the Thuggies, and Indiana Jones was made to turn into a bad guy for drinking this evil blood. And of course, of course, that lasts all 5 minutes. Because Short Round burns him, and of course, by burning somebody, it brings them back to where they were before. So then, of course, then you had the whole big adventure trying to get out of the Temple of Doom and escape with the stones. And then because it was one big chase sequence throughout the rest of the movie. And of course, there's one big action sequence that was originally written for Temple of Doom, not Temple, for Raiders. But both Spielberg and Lucas agreed that Raiders was also like too much action sequences and too many huge set pieces to include this sequence in there. And that was, of course, the main car chase, and which is like a roller coaster ride. And it's this type of thing only happens in the movies, folks. There's one part in the movie where they go off to a broken track and they fly in the air like about 100 feet. It feels like, and they fly across it. And usually, my car won't last that long of a distance or it will crash. But only in the Indiana Jones movie he does this, where he flies off, goes like about 100 feet, 200 feet distance, and lands on the track on the other side. That's okay. Uh, but of course, they also have Willie Scott, played by Kate Capshaw, in a revealing, like mid-dress revealing, outfit. And of course, I want to get to her character in a moment as well, as part of the controversies of this film. Um, of course, what happens, of course, they end up getting into a rope bridge. And of course, there's a big dramatic. Of course, in those days, you didn't have CGI to fall back on. They had, I don't know how, I don't remember how many cameras they actually had. They must have had about at least anywhere from 10 to 14 cameras surrounding this gorge to film every angle possible of this bridge, and they used dummies on the bridge when Indy cuts the bridge in half. Because you have one side, you have Thuggies or to the left of them, Thuggies to the right of them. Okay, yeah, I'm in deep trouble here. How the hell am I get out of this? It's okay, yeah, cut the bridge in half, and hopefully most of the people will die in the river because there's crocodiles in the river. So it cuts and it's a time to meet. It says, has a famous line, "Time to meet Kali in hell," and cuts the bridge. And he had it literally took him a couple of shots to cut the bridge, and the bridge just snaps, and it was like a one-shot deal. And it was a one-shot. They didn't have any. They didn't have like multiple takes for that show when it cuts the bridge. Uh, when it cuts the bridge in half. There was a one. It was literally a one-shot deal, and thankfully, it worked. And of course, you had when the bridge was cutting, you see the thuggy soldiers falling and they're waving their arms and all that stuff. Those were dummies. It was like life-size dummies that were waving in the end. They fell into the water. Those were dummies, folks. And of course, they had the fight scene with him and Mola Mom. Of course, what happens? Of course, Indy, of course, wins. And unfortunately, he was only bring back one of the Sankara stones back to the village. And of course, what happens at the end? Of course, he kisses Willie Scott at the end. Takes his whip, wraps it around Willie Scott's waist, pulls him in, and gives it a big kiss. And the short round on top of the elephant, and on top of an elephant, splits Willie and Indy, and that's pretty much how the movie ends. I know I went through this pretty fast, but I want to get into the controversies of this movie. Now, the controversies of this movie, of course, that Karen Allen, who played Marion Ravenwood in the first movie, was not in this one. And the reason why they got into it, like I mentioned earlier, that this was hyped. It wasn't really all that hyped as a prequel, but the original Raiders of the Lost Ark took place in 1936. Temple of Doom took place in 1935. So that's how one way they got away with not bringing back Marion Ravenwood because Karen Allen was so good playing that character that now fans of the original movie, and of course I'm one of them, felt kind of annoyed they didn't have Marion in the second movie, and they didn't have Marion in the third movie either, which I got to when I reviewed that film. But uh, but Spielberg and Lucas felt they should have a different girl in each, kind of like in the James Bond movies, when you have a different Bond girl in each one of the Bond films. That's what Lucas and Spielberg felt that they should have a different girl in each one of the Indiana Jones movies. So that's why Marion Ravenwood was not in this movie because this one was supposed to be a prequel. That's one controversy. Um, the second controversy was, of course, the casting of Kate Capshaw, which, of course, the only reason why she got that part was because she was screwing Steven Spielberg. I don't know if she was exactly screwing him at the time of the filming the movie, but they ended up hooking up together in real life and they ended up getting married. And matter of fact, Spielberg divorced fellow actress Emmy Irving, divorced her, but Emmy Irving was in the movie Yentl, and she did appear in one episode of the original show Happy Days, and she, of course, was also in Quasi the Nazi movie and the original version of Carrie. Anyway, Spielberg was married to Amy Irving, divorced her for Kate Capshaw. Kate Capshaw many people thought that Ki Hai Kwan, who played Shortman, was annoying. He said, "Oh, no time for love, Dr. Jones," and all that stuff. He thought, in the beginning, he was kind of annoying, but then, of course, you tend to like the character that later on, especially when it was fine with Indy, trying to get Indy to wake up uh, from after drinking the blood of Cowie, trying to wake him up. And you can tell that he had actual love for Indiana Jones, and it's kind of like like Indy was kind of like a father figure to Short Round a little bit. But Kate Capshaw was so annoying as this character because she was petty. Oh, I burnt my fingers and I cracked a nail. And everybody chasing. And of course, also had the famous scene with the dinner when everybody was eating all this disgusting stuff, like frozen monkey brains and the snakes, like the eels coming out of the snake, all this disgusting stuff, eating bugs and that disgusting dinner scene, which grossed everybody out. It's like a gross out scene, and I mean, that scene was really disgusting. And you had that scene where she was, oh, can I have something like soup? And she stirs the pot, and here comes the eyeballs, and she faints. And there was, of course, also a scene where Indy was checking out the Willie Scott's room, and he presses on a female statue. He touches the boobs of this woman's statue, and he goes, "Hey, I'm right here. Touch these boobs instead of the boobs on the statue." Um, stuff like that. It really becomes annoying. And of course, she also, like Marion did in Raiders, she's constantly screaming. And she even brings this up. Okay, Capshaw brought this up in the documentary, which is on the bonus disc of this DVD set. She even brought this up in the bonus feature. She says, "I read the script," and she goes, and she screams, and she screams, and she screams. And I'm like, hello, can she do anything else but scream? And of course, the way she's portrayed in the movie became annoying as hell, and a lot of women's groups complained about it. Okay, now I'm going to get into the most biggest controversy of this movie. Uh, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom led in, led to the formation of the PG-13 rating, which I don't think that I didn't even know that to the PG-13 rating until I saw the documentary on the making of the Indiana Jones trilogy. Because when when Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, it got a PG rating. Despite the fact there was a lot of there was a lot of violence in it, showing all the almost cartoon-like violence, and especially to see in the end when the Nazis' faces started to melt. This movie, it has constant violence and a lot of dark stuff, dark magic in it. A lot of stuff that small kids could be scared of. Even though it has a lot of kids in this movie, it has short amount because it has all the kids who were slaves in this film, plus a little Maharaja in there. Uh, Despite all that, people were upset that it was so dark. The images were so upsetting to kids when people brought their kids to see this movie that they felt that this movie shouldn't be it's not appropriate for young kids. And of course, they had that's also one other scene where I didn't mention where Indy, Willie, and Shortman overlook and they see the thuggy cult ritual. The Mortal Ram, who is the main villain and the leader of the thuggies, go into a guy's chest and he yanks the guy's heart out and he's holding the heart, and when the sacrifice gets dropped into the pit, the heart is sets on fire and burns in Mortal Man's hands. He's holding it up high. And it was also a very disturbing scene. So a lot of parent groups would complain that this movie has scenes that are not appropriate for kids. So Spielberg says, oh, maybe we should have, because of the controversy of this film, a lot of people complain that Temple of Doom should have got an R rating, not PG rating. Because at that time you only had, I think, like four ratings. You had G, there's like mostly for musicals and Disney movies, like Snow White and Naked Fam and so forth. Then you had PG, you had R, and of course you had X. There's no NC-17 movies then until like '95. So Spielberg says to Jack Valenti, who he knows who was the head of the Motion Pictures Association of America, says, "Oh, why don't you make a range between PG and R? So that's way we could push the envelope a little bit, and then parents, we get PG rating and push the envelope a little bit, and have a warning that it might not be appropriate for young children. And what we are, we get like more like the cursing, like F words and stuff like that, and more extreme violence in all movies. Here we can have the type of violence that we had in the first these two movies, plus it would be a little more quote unquote family friendly, even though it has a warning that might be appropriate for kids under 13. It could be PG-13 or PG-14, whatever it was. And then the Motion Picture Association decided, let's go with PG-13. And of course, later on in 1984, you started having PG-13 movies started coming out. But one of the first ones was the movie Woman in Red. I think that was the first one I remember coming out as a PG-13 film. But because of Temple of Doom, we have this PG-13 rating. And it's kind of lousy to have a PG-13 rating because it's kind of in the middle. You should have one or the other, and parents always make the one that because something automatically has a PG rating or an R rating. I didn't even see my first R rated movie until I was about like 14 years old. I'm not kidding. I was so mad when a movie was rated R because I knew my parents wouldn't take me to see an R rated movie until they felt that was all enough to handle it. But when we saw Temple of Doom, I was actually 13 years old, or almost to 13 when Temple of Doom came out. It didn't scare me. It didn't get like nightmares. My mother didn't complain about that movie. My parents didn't complain about Temple of Doom. So except for maybe the Kid Capture character being annoying. So that's my review of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Just click on the video, please read it. Feel free to comment on. Please subscribe to my channel and please forward this video onto your Facebook pages to publicize it. And also you can check out not only all my videos on not only on my YouTube channel, but you also check out more out on rowdyc.com. That's OOWDY, C.com. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.